Welcome everyone to your Inspired Books Group coaching call. Today is June 26th, 2024.
25th.
And 25th. My eyes are blurry.
Sorry.
No. Thanks. Yeah, I'm looking
It
at
just
my
went out.
calendar here. My eyes are blurry and I'm like, it looked like 26. You're right. I tell you, last week, my husband's out of town again, and I was talking to him on Friday, and he was heading to another location. And he was talking about, oh, the traffic's not too bad for a Friday. And I said, it's Thursday. And he goes, no, it's Friday. I go, no, it's Thursday. He goes, no, it's Friday. I'm like, no, it's Thursday. It was Friday.
Yeah.
The entire day I thought it was Thursday, and I was all excited. I go, oh, I got all day tomorrow to get this stuff done, and then the weekend. And I'm like, thanks a lot. You just stole a day out of my life. I don't know if I ever would have caught it. I just don't know. I might have missed church and all that. I'd have shown up for church on Monday morning and no one was there. So anyway, all right. Well, last week I gave you guys an assignment, and I know some of you, Rod, you were gone, and Beth, you were gone, and Connie and Annette were gone, and they're gone today. So I don't know if they were able to participate or not, but I just want to hear some feedback from you guys, how it went, if you were able to connect at all, what you thought of it. So just curious about your feedback on it. So the assignment again was to, I teamed you up in teams of 3. I just randomly kind of put you in teams. And we had Rod, Connie, and Annette. And ironically, all 3 of you were gone last week. And then Diane, Beth, and Susan, and Lena, Reg, and Carolyn. So it was just a kind of a challenge, an experiment, or whatever you want to call it, for you guys just to team up and have, a taste of accountability and just having that extra support. And so I'm just curious about your feedback. Somebody?
The emails that I got from Susan and Diane were really encouraging.
Good, good. Awesome.
Well, I just enjoyed sharing with both Beth and Susan about things, and Susan was able to share about some of her background, and I then shared some of mine, and then of course we were ministering to Beth, who had her hands full. So I think it was a good connection, a very good connection, and we'll support each other in the book process, I think, better with this. So
good, good.
It was good to get to know each other better rather than just a weekly face or whatever. It was good. Now they feel more human because we know more about each other.
That's right. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. It was good.
Kathy, I was telling Lena and Reg, I was away for a funeral for a good friend. So I wasn't able to participate, I guess, as much as I would have hoped. But I just explained it, to both of them, and they were very understanding. And Reg sent me, I think it was a poem. I think
one
it
of
was
his
a poem or a
songs.
song. Yeah, his songs. Yeah, he sent me one of his songs. So very encouraging. So yeah, I'll be able to participate more this week. So with them. And Lena, I did see your email you sent me a few minutes earlier. So thank you. I'll respond to that.
Lena.
Yes. Reg kind of reached out to me quite earlier on, like almost immediately after last week. We're trying to like nail a date down. So I was telling him that I'm busy, so maybe email will work better. Yeah, so we kind of like went back and forth, and then I said, hey, let's rope Carolyn in. So I started to drop Carolyn an email. Yeah, so email is working out for us. I don't know. I mean, I personally, if time permits, it will be better, I think, once a while to maybe have an audio or Zoom call. That's what I thought of, but I haven't raise this up to Reg and Carolyn. I know Carolyn's busy, so no worries. Yeah.
I'm for it, Lena. So yeah, I think that would be a great for us to do a Zoom call.
Yeah, yeah. I know Kathy always says life happens. So yeah, life happens. So no worries.
Yeah, and that kind of situation that you can't do anything about. And sorry for your loss, Carolyn.
This was for a good friend. Her mom passed, and I was telling Lena and Reg we were supporting another friend who was supporting my friend. We were on our way to a hospital when she got word that her brother died. So it was
Oh,
just another loss. But you know, we were there to encourage one another. So I'm glad I made the trip. I'm glad I made the trip. So
yeah, good. Yeah. Sometimes you just need to do that. You just have to do it. So, all right. Well, it sounds like you guys are yeah, Diane.
I just wanted to make a comment on that there's nothing like the gift of time.
Yeah.
It's the very best gift.
Yeah. And you think about that, that's what you guys just did this past week with each other. You gave the gift of your time to support one another. And so, I'm glad that you guys have liked it. And if you want to keep continuing with it, with your teams, go for it, especially since some of you were gone, maybe you want to do it at least another week so you can get a chance at really being able to participate in it. And it's up to you what you guys want to do. I'm not saying you have to do it or not do it. So I wanted to just give you guys a taste of it. I know that in the past, I have talked to you guys about accountability, and I've talked to you about community and how community can be a form of accountability for you, and how it's important to interact, to show up on these calls, and to be active in the Facebook group, which I'm really still trying to get you guys to do, but it can be so supportive. As you guys saw, even Beth couldn't really participate because of everything she was going through. Your emails still encouraged her. And that's what, this really was all about. This exercise was about. And the Facebook group, as I've mentioned to you before, is a way for you guys to interact. It's a way for you to encourage one another when someone makes a post, to comment on it, not just like it. And the thing about when you do post is your post can be encouraging to somebody else in different ways. Maybe your post is a little bit about a struggle you're going through, and maybe they're struggling, and it encourages them that they're not alone. Or you're posting a win, and it encourages them that they can have a win. So you can encourage each other in different ways. When I do the Monday wins, what's your win for the past week? Again, I've told you it doesn't have to be book related, because anything that's in your life affects your walk as an author. And Carolyn's, example, and Beth's example, and, and Rod being gone, all examples of how life took them in different directions for a while. And so that affects your progress on your book, on your marketing, or whatever phase you are at. And so a win in your personal life, or if you have a business in your business life, is still a win that we'd like to celebrate with you if it's something that you feel comfortable sharing. Or you can just say, I have a personal win. I don't feel comfortable talking about it necessarily, but I have a personal win, and we can still celebrate with you. And so, I've talked to you guys about that in the past, but never have really done this exercise where you really connect with another author to encourage one another. And so I just want to expand on this a little bit more, and some of the things that the Lord has, put on my heart about all of this. And I want to read you a scripture that you guys are all familiar with. Let me get it back up here. Went away on me. And it is Isaiah 61, verse 3. It says, to grant to those who mourn in Zion, to give them a beautiful headdress instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the garment of praise instead of a faint spirit, that they may be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. So I dug into that a little bit more about the oaks. So you guys are familiar with the great big sequoia trees out in California? They can grow up to 300 feet tall. 300 feet is equivalent to about 28 stories, a 28-story building. That's a pretty tall building. Excuse me. However, their roots only go 6 to 12 feet deep. And so it's like, well, if they have such a shallow root system, how are they able to survive in strong winds? I've had trees tip over. When I lived in Minnesota, we had what they called the 100-year storm. And we had, and they were straight line winds, and you look down the street and every tree was down. But yet these sequoia trees have survived many, many storms. And, you know, if they're 300 feet tall, how many years old are they? They're very old. I forgot to look up how old they can get, but it's really old. So, I want to show you a picture of why they survive. So hold on here while I share. So are you seeing this tree, the roots? So what happens is their root systems intertwine with the trees next to them. And I'll show you one more here. You see how they cross over and they intertwine with each other. And it got me thinking, you know, a couple different things. One, a 3-stranded cord is stronger than 2, right? And when we have God in part one of those strands for us, guess what? we're stronger. So they intertwine their roots. Now, if you guys were all just standing in a line and I were to walk up to you and I shoved you, you would stumble backwards. But if you all locked arms and I came and I pushed you, you might sway a little bit, but you don't fall. That's how they survive. They support one another. And I heard about a story. You guys may or may not remember the hurricane that really destroyed New Orleans several years ago. Well, I heard a story about after that hurricane in one area, they were really surprised how there were all these oak trees. There were about 700 oak trees, but only 4 of them died. And they were so surprised by that. And it's because oak trees do the same, you know, that's what sequoia trees are. I think they're red oaks. Their roots and systems intertwine with each other, and that gives them strength. But here's something else about an oak tree. They're known for their strength and their durability. They're resistant to decay and pests. And they grow slowly to develop that sturdy root system. And the trunk and the branches are flexible. So when those winds come, they can flex. And I'm like, why did God say that they may be called oaks of righteousness? Because you think about that, we are those oaks. We grow slowly, right? We wish we could learn some things faster, but we don't. We grow slowly, but we're learning all kinds of things in the process, and we're going to learn as long as we're alive on this earth. And we have to be able to be flexible because life throws us curves. Carolyn's schedule was interrupted this past week by a funeral. She had to be flexible. And so we have to be flexible like that. And when we support one another, that's our root systems reaching out and supporting each other so that when those storms of our lives come in, we're stronger because we got this person over here supporting us, we got this person over here supporting us, you know, and so forth. The root systems of the sequoia trees, they only go 6 to 12 feet deep, but they spread out 60 to 80 feet horizontally. That can reach out to a lot of different trees. So they have like a community of trees supporting them. And when I heard about the New Orleans story, they actually said that when part of the reason, like they equated it to community, they said when that hurricane came, it didn't attack those trees. It attacked a community of trees. I mean, you know, the community itself, but you know, they were talking about these trees. So because they're so intertwined, they were equating these trees as a community. And so that's, you know, that's what this exercise for you guys was about, to understand how important it is to have support, to support one another, and be a part of this community, be active in the community, because a community cannot thrive without interaction, without communication, without supporting one another. It's not going to thrive. Excuse me. So I told you last week that I was in a group where we were doing an exercise like this, and we checked in every single day with one another, or we were supposed to. That's what they told us to do. But it ended up that we didn't. And I was teamed up with a guy, and he never reached out to me, but I reached out to him with email, and I emailed him like every 2 days. And I said, you know, just checking in, you know, how is your week going? Did you reach your goals? You know, what'd you get done today or whatever, you know? And I said, here's how it's going for me. And I told him how it went for me. And he thanked me every time. And then he responded as to what he was able to get done. And, you know, it was just that simple. It was just an email, you know. And this is my first time meeting this guy through this community that I'm in. And then when we were on our group call after that, they were asking everybody how it went, just kind of like what I did with you. And he said, I just want to thank, you know, Kathy Bates. And then first he makes a Kathy Bates joke, you know, I haven't seen any of her movies, you know, and all this kind of stuff. But then he's like, she checked in with me, and he said, you know, without her, I don't think I would have gotten this done. And then he went on, and then he said, I would not have gotten done what I got done if she wouldn't have been checking in with me. And I'm just like, I didn't really do much. You know, all I did was email him, and like maybe 3 times that week. And yet for him, he's saying he wouldn't have gotten hardly anything accomplished if I wouldn't have checked in with him. That little bit that I did helped him out so much. And I was so surprised by that. And so I got to thinking about it and how we each can play a role in everyone else's success. You know, it might be a tiny role, but it can be a role where we're helping them with their success by just being a support to them. You, without much effort, without even realizing you're doing, I didn't realize I was helping him get work done, because I wasn't pushing him. I didn't contact him every day like we were supposed to. I didn't push him at all. And yet he gave me credit for his successful week. And, you know, and I'm just like, wow, that little bit can help somebody that much. And it blew me away, and how we don't have to necessarily even do grandiose things to really make an impact on somebody's life. You've heard stories of how somebody you just smiled and said hi to somebody, on the street or in the grocery store or something. And then they said, I was going to go home and commit suicide, but then you acknowledged me, so it's not about grandiose things. It's about just being there for people, knowing that someone's got your back, and you can make a difference. Just another quick story is there's a woman in that same group who she comments on everybody's posts. She's encouraging. If someone posts a question, she like, which do you like better? Do you like this title, or do you like and this is a business group. This is not an authors group. Like someone was trying to come up with a title for their podcast. Which one of these titles do you like the best? Or which graphic do you like the best? And she answers their questions, gives them an honest answer, what she likes or doesn't like, but she says it kindly, not rudely, and her why behind it. I think you need to make the font bigger because it's not real noticeable, or, whatever her comment is. Just us, and everybody like knows her in the community, and we all just love her and everything. And oddly enough, she struggles with her own self-worth. The coach has had to work with her extensively to try to get her to realize her self-worth, to do what she feels God has called her to do. And yet she has impacted so many lives because of her support to them. And so that's what really this exercise was all about, is just to give you guys a taste of that. And if you want to keep it up, you can keep it up. You want to try different things, you can do that. But I want to encourage you to, again, be active, in the Facebook group. Keep in touch, get to know one another. You guys are all like family to me. Some of you have been with me since 2019. So, it's a long time, and I appreciate it, and your friends and your family to me. And someday I want to have a meetup where we all can get together and meet up. I think that would be just so awesome. Thankfully I got to meet Diane in person, but she's the only one so far. But feedback. What's your feedback on all of that?
For me, it's timely because I think I went for a conference recently. I know, like, it's talking about interdependence. Like, for me, I've always been I met up with my friend from UK, right? She came to visit, and we had a good time together. And she was saying she knew me when before I was 20 years old, and she said that Lena, you're strong and independent. Sometimes it's good to receive the gifts God has in others. So yeah, I think it's a season for me to learn to be interdependent. I know that I've been trying to learn that. So yeah, it's a good season to be in. And I'm thankful for this community a lot, because when I was gonna when I heard from the Lord to write a book, it was quite a lonely journey, probably because I chose it that way. Probably because I fear that people will just naysayers, like, are you gonna write a book? So I kind of protect my obedience, in a sense. I don't want to tell people that I'm doing that, so that don't want any wet blanket. I don't want any discouragement that I need to handle. Yeah. So thank you all for being here on the journey.
Good, thank you. Anybody else? Welcome, Connie and Annette. So Connie and Annette, you both were gone last week. So I don't know, did you get an opportunity to connect with each other for this accountability exercise?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did. This has been a crazy week. Absolutely crazy. Out of the ordinary.
Well, it sounds like a lot of them are going to do it again this next week, and maybe keep it up indefinitely. And that's up to you guys. So, Rod, Connie, and Annette, you all were on the same team, and you were all gone last week. So, maybe you guys can connect this week and then give us some feedback next week.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any comments on what I shared? Diane.
I was just going to share that it took me 3 years to get through the third rewrite of my book. And I certainly had encouragement from you, Kathy,
Mm.
to give up. So
Good.
it just is very valuable to have support. I
Yeah,
just thought maybe that would be something to share.
good, good. Well, and the other thing too is, as you know, my group is for Christian nonfiction authors, which means hopefully you guys can all pray for each other. If you're in some other group, you might be teamed up with somebody that doesn't want anything to do with God. And that happened to me. The accountability partner that I had was really into some wild new age things, and it was really difficult speaking with her. I mean, I had to stick really just to business. What'd you do? Did you meet your goals? And it was very mechanical because we just couldn't connect. And which was sad because it just, she was closed off in that area. And so that's what I like about this group is you guys are safe in connecting with one another. I feel comfortable teaming you guys up. I feel comfortable with any of you connecting with any of the others because you have that like-mindedness. And so, and I hope you guys feel the same way.
Yes.
Okay.
Kathy,
Yeah.
this is only the third week for me making a decision, taking your seminar, my second week here of a call. And I naively thought writing a book was going to be a very lonely, singular activity. I have already realized that my tendency to withdraw and write may not be the best path. And your story today about the roots hit me. I realized I need to not be so inwardly motivated. I need to participate. And I've been doing it.
You have
I'm
been.
participating.
You are.
It's not something I do very naturally. I have to make myself do it, but I already see the benefit.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Definitely.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, and I would not have guessed that about you because you have you participated in the workshop and you've participated here, and and you seem comfortable. So I would not have guessed that that's not really your natural way of wanting to handle it. But you're stepping out of your comfort zone.
I am. I'm trying to be I would do it because I thought I should, not necessarily because it was something that I was real super comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a natural curiosity about things and people, so I told myself, just let it flow. It's okay.
Good.
That's the other problem. I don't feel safe in most groups. So making me feel safe here is a huge benefit.
Mm. Well, that means a lot to me. Thank you. Thank you. And that's really part of my group philosophy, or whatever you want to call it, is that this is a safe space. I felt like that's what the Lord called me to do, is to offer a safe place for Christians who want to write a book that they can share their faith and not worry what people are going to think, and like, oh, there's a crazy Christian, there's a Jesus freak, or whatever. That I would have a safe place for you guys to be able to come and, and just share. And, you know, like I said, Connie shared a word for Carolyn on the workshop. And I know Connie, and I'm totally comfortable with letting Connie do that. And that's what this community is about. And I appreciate all of you so much, because honestly, you keep me going. You show up every week and you keep me going. And I pray over this call every week, because I'm like, if you guys are going to give me your time, I need to give you my time. Meaning I need to make sure that I'm going to talk about what the Lord wants me to talk about this week. And so, and that goes back to, you know, what Diane even brought up for Carolyn, is the gift of time. And as I said, you guys just emailing each other, just sending those short little email, you gave your gift of time to somebody. And just a quick word, you know, I've gotten text messages from friends who, you know, thinking about you today, just praying for you. And it's like, wow, you know, and I haven't talked to them in a while, you know, and it's like, I didn't tell them that I'm struggling with anything or nothing, but like, that was encouraging. You know, God put me on their heart, and they just sent a quick little message, and it's enough to just perk me up, you know, and that's what community is about. And so, if you're, you know, you need help with anything along the path, that's what these calls are about. So these calls are really more about for you to come here and say, okay, I have this question. I've been working on this and I'm stuck, or I don't know how to do this. Can we talk about this? And, you know, I always try to have something ready for you guys to add to your journey. But I also want to make sure that you guys don't stay stuck. So you have questions, you need me to demo something, let me know, I'll demo it. You can email me in advance, or, you know, post something in the Facebook group. And we can talk about it. And because this is for you, this is a community for your support, to help you along this journey. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm not just I'm here to teach the ropes, but I'm also here to encourage you guys. And that's, you know, what I want you guys to be able to do for each other, is just to be there to encourage each other and support one another. And you guys are great at doing that when we have our calls. Someone will bring something up and you guys will respond to each other. And I love that, because I don't have all the answers. God put something in your heart for each other, like Connie did for Carolyn on the workshop. You know, just put something in her heart for Carolyn that really spoke to Carolyn's heart. That's how God works. And that's why this community is here, is to give that freedom for you guys to just encourage each other. And, you know, someone makes a comment or has a question about something, and you guys can say, you know, have something to encourage them, or ask them questions or whatever. So I appreciate that so much. So, yeah, Connie, I had talked about Isaiah 61 verse 3, and how God says they will be called oaks of righteousness. And then I talked about how oaks, and you can watch the replay, but how oaks, they can grow really tall. The roots are shallow, but they intertwine with each other. And that's why they're so strong. And I gave the illustration of how, if you're standing in a row, I come up and I push you, you're going to stumble back. But if you lock arms and I come up and push you, you might sway, but you're not going to fall. And that's how a community works, of supporting. And that's what the exercise of having accountability partners was all about. So, all right. Any other questions, comments on that? Rod, any words of wisdom?
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I apologize that I didn't have time last week in the travels.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of meetings and then driving, so just didn't have time to really do anything. So I apologize to Connie and Annette both for not being able to do that. We'll will engage this week. Yeah, one of the one of the key points in my writing career years ago was a group of writers that we interacted with each other all week. We met once a week, and it was when I was very early in my writing career, and so there was lots of encouragement and some good feedback and things that helped me improve as a writer. So I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Well, and as I said, I was reading that scripture and I'm like, why did God call them oaks? Or why did he say that they would be called oaks of righteousness? And it's like, there's purpose behind everything and every word that God says, right? So it's like, okay, what is it about oaks? And that's, I found it intriguing about the roots and here's the other thing too is, okay, so they're known for their strength and durability, right? But they're resistant to decay and pests. Well, who's the biggest pest of all? When we are in Christ, we are resistant to the biggest pest of them all. And then how they're flexible. You look at an oak tree, and I don't look at that tree as being flexible. They look strong and sturdy, and they are. But God's creation is so unique that when those winds come up, those branches are able to flex. And it even said that they're able to flex to the point where I forget what they said, but where the leaves don't come off. So, when the storms of life come up, if we can flex, but we don't have to lose our joy, we don't have to lose, progress or whatever, those are our leaves. We can flex and still have joy. We're supposed to anyway. I don't know how good a job we do at it. I can only speak for myself. But yeah, so anywho, that I just really wanted to share that. It touched me a lot when, God's brought all this to my attention, and I really wanted to share it with you and how we can incorporate it as authors in this community. So I hope that's blessed you guys. Yeah, Connie.
Oh, I hope this is a good place to share a little something.
Sure.
This week has been so crazy because I have been a part of helping a prayer team with Cast Your Nets. And the other leader, the other girl that we were working together, she had to take a leave of absence. And so I was going, okay, Lord, if you want me to do this like this is fine. This happened so fast. And the reason I'm saying this, I'm not saying it for any other reason, but just to show you how the Lord is accelerated. Things are really moving. And boy, between Kathy's workshop and this happening to me with Cast Your Nets, it has really put me in the mindset that this is happening all so quickly and that the Lord is doing a new thing. So it's really encouraged me with my book too. But anyway, all that being said, I was working I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, let's just verify this. I am learning from the ground up. As Kathy knows, I'm not a tech girl, but anywho, I recorded some podcasts, some things that the Lord had put on my heart. Now, they're not a lot, and they're very rough, and only one of them, the first one, I've been working with Aaron Mann, who is, he's a tech guy, but he is in, to do the podcasting, he's got a lot of equipment, and he's a missionary in Romania, which makes it kind of tough because they're 8 hours difference, just saying. So, and I'm not a morning person, so I'm up wandering around in a fog trying to learn about podcasts. Okay, anyway, long story short, he sent me a copy of this. Well, out of the blue, I was supposed to get with a couple of the leaders, actually Janice and Dr. J at cast your nets, and they were going to talk about the prayer. Well, then they had this notion, well, why don't we do Connie's podcast for 2 months instead of, having the prayer like we've had it. And we'll still have prayer at the end. We'll have a prayer of impartation. Okay. But all of a sudden, I go into hyper mode. I am thrown into this, I'm going in the deep end. Oh my goodness, Well, anyway, I was so glad I had my little snippet. I was so glad I had that recording. So we took that, as rough as it is, just like I did it, off just the first time. And Steve wants to go ahead with it and put it on in that time slot from 9 to 10 on Wednesday morning where we had prayer. Now, all that being said, all this is happening so fast, so please pray for me. And if you guys want to review it, that would be perfect. I think Steve also put it on Facebook. I don't know what all he's doing. He runs ahead of me. He does whatever. Janice got a title sheet, I guess you'd call it. A lead page, perhaps. I don't know what we call anything. I have to review. What we used to call it may not be what we're calling it now, because everything is moving so quickly. But all that to say, so if I'm acting a little flibbery-gibbety this morning, that is why. This was just this last Wednesday that all of this came up, and everything is moving. So tomorrow I will have a podcast. That is so God. It is not anything that I'm just going, okay, Lord, yeah, help here, Holy Spirit. So, but it's coming around pretty good. I was going to have some worship music at the beginning, but I'm not sure I'll do that now. I might just save that for later. But anyway, I just want to just let you all know about it. And I guess it's on Facebook. So anyway, I'll have to go. I just thought I'd give you guys a heads up. That's why we really have to get on the beam. I'm just saying, not only is my life speeding up, all of our lives are speeding up. Everything we put our hand to is going to prosper, but it's moving incredibly fast. Wow.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Yeah. I think sometimes God throws us into the deep water right from the get-go, or else we wouldn't dive in at all. I've had different life instances where I just got thrown in, and it seems like, I've had jobs like that where I just got thrown in and no training, and it's like, what is going on here? But then it's like, I learned more or something. I don't know, but different situations. I think sometimes he does that. I do want to say this real quick. I see Annette, you got your hand up. Hold on just a second. I have somebody that's in my business group who is doing I think it's a challenge on how to start a podcast. And I don't know if it was starting this week or next week. I'll check with her when we get off the call, and then I'll post it in the Facebook group so you all can see it. And if there's a link, then you can just, if you want to sign up, I think it's a free workshop or challenge or something. But and just a little bit about her. She calls herself an introvert, but I think she was really like super shy. And a lot of people get those two things like wrong sometimes. And so her podcast is called The Invisible Marketer, because she never wanted to be on camera. And she really just started this in January, and she dove in head first. She started a podcast. She's been interviewing lots of different people within the group. She's on camera all the time, and you talk to her and she's, you can kind of hear the shyness in her voice, but she is bold in taking a leap of faith. So I'm super proud of her. and so she is now doing this challenge to how to start a podcast because she just did it. And so I'll look into that for you and post it in the Facebook group. Like I said, I don't remember if it was starting this week or next week. But I'm sure if it's already started, she probably has replays. So I'll get back to you on that. All right, Annette.
Hello, y'all.
Hello.
As you know, I'm in my morning. I'm outside in my garden listening. But you were talking about the oak trees, and I don't know. I'm trying to see if I can show you. Like I'm outside, and I have like big oaks, and one ye- we had a free storm. Never lifetime, and we had a storm like that. And I've always heard about the strength of oaks. But that year, I had limbs that was falling off the tree. I said, they're gonna hold. Oaks are strong. But I had one like in the middle of my backyard that spread out all over the backyard, a beautiful tree, and the limbs started breaking. I was going like, what? And I said, even oaks break? And it was, and that when you were talking about the oaks, I said, now years later, a lot of the branches stuff has grown back, but
You froze up. You're frozen. You're frozen, Annette. We're frozen. We can't hear you.
yeah, well,
Yeah, we can't hear you.
can you hear me?
Now I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So as the limbs begin to break, I said that there are other oak trees, and I have the breakage that tree had. In fact, I had other trees in the yard that didn't have that tree had, but it was because it was too heavy. And so the extra weight of it. So I was just thinking when you said that is that there are, as we go through these journeys in life, there's some things we're going to have to let go of too. We can't carry all things at one time because it can get too heavy for us. And even the strongest, most organized, most disciplined person can break under the strain of trying to do too much, carry too much at one time.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say about the oak tree.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Well, you think about it, it's like we got to do pruning. We prune, plants and shrubs and all that to make them stronger. So, and we got to prune the junk off of us. I just saw an image today. I don't even remember where I saw it. If it was Facebook or Instagram or where it was, but it was an image of somebody sitting. It was just not a real person, but it was like a image of a ceramic person sitting there, and pieces had fallen off of it onto the floor. And it was, God, can you help me put me back together? And he's like, no, you don't need those pieces. And he's like, but I'm falling apart. No, you're not falling apart. You're becoming. And then he's like, what am I becoming? You're becoming who I created you to be, or something like that. I don't remember it all. It was much longer than that, but it's like sometimes you need to let go of some things. Sometimes let those things fall off because you don't need them. And when we're hurting and we're going through things, it's like that might be a pruning process, so and a growing process, and like I remember my mom teaching my niece when she was like probably 5 years old how to deadhead the flowers so that they would continue to bloom. And So yeah, it's all seems so opposite, you know, picking off the flowers. Why would you do that? You know, well, because it's going to bloom more, you know. God talks about pruning. If it's not producing, prune it. You know, what stuff is in our lives that's not producing? We need to prune it. So, all right. Any other final thoughts or questions? Does anybody need some help with anything? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, I thought maybe I'd talk about some other stuff today, but I think this is what the Lord had on my heart, and I just let him kind of have his way with it because it's that important. And this isn't just, I mean, yes, I'm trying to bring this in as us as authors and how we can support each other, but it also carries over into our everyday life and our walk with the Lord. So, hope that helps. Hope that's encouraged somebody, and have fun staying connected with each other this next week. If that's what you want to do, I hope you do. I hope you like it and want to keep doing it. And yeah, if you have anything to share, feel free to post it in the Facebook group. That's what it's there for. So, all
Hey,
right.
Kathy, are we meeting next week? Because it's Independence Day for you guys, right? July the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going anywhere as far as I know, because
Okay.
it'll only be the 2nd. So, I'm planning to be here. If some of you guys are on vacation and can't make it, that's fine. But as far as I know, I'm going to be here unless something comes up. If something comes up, I'll just, email you guys and cancel, but otherwise we'll be here. Good question. All right. Thanks everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Kathy.
Bye.
Okay,
Thanks,
thanks.
Kathy. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.